In a phone call with Eddie Bonine, the executive director of the LHSAA, he explains his organization is simply following the National Federation of State High School Associations, or NFHS's guidelines. However, a letter the NFHS Rules Review Committee chair sent to the makers of Guardian Caps tells a different story. The letter reads, "The permissive use of the Guardian Cap product is not a violation of NFHS football rules."
The NFHS, the National Federation of High School Sports, takes a neutral stance. They take a neutral stance and permit it for games and practices. So does Pop Warner. So does the NCAA.
So use them. We're just saying check with the vendor because of certification, because we don't pay for recertification for helmets. That's expensive cost.
But Rydell, the manufacturer of Willow Speedflex helmets, won't approve Guardian Caps. Bonine says because of that, if Willow uses the caps, it would prevent them from recertifying their helmets, which has to happen every 2 years. That would mean the school would have to purchase all new helmets every other year. Guardian Sports says any claims their product could impede recertification are false, offering documentation it says proves helmet makers cannot decertify a helmet nor void the helmet's warranty.
When you prioritize corporate interests over player safety, it's a bad place to be.
Hansen thinks the LHSAA is punting a decision on Guardian Caps to helmet makers, despite evidence the devices won't impede helmet safety.
We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in testing. We've proved that we don't cause helmets to fail the certification for which the standard for which they were certified. We've done everything we can do on our end, but ultimately the governing bodies, because of liability interests, defer to those manufacturers.
She points to the NFL, where players wear the caps on the field this season, but Bonine argues comparing these players to children isn't the same.
You're not comparing apples to apples to apples. Number one, professional football is a professional sport, and those athletes are being paid millions of dollars, and the NFL owners are protecting their investment in their player personnel, number one.
The high school kids still have futures, and that's an investment worth protecting. Would you agree with that?
I completely agree, dude, but I'm not going to sit here in this chair and decide on that unilaterally.
Bonine says in order to make any changes to state rules, a high school principal would need to request the change, and only then could it be considered during the organization's annual commission in January.
They're deferring and they're allowing corporate interests to control the narrative, and I don't think that should be their number one priority.
Bonine says despite the LHSAA's guidelines, players can still choose to wear the caps, but he claims in the Lions case, it means their helmets will no longer meet the safety standards for certification.
Does that make sense to you that the piece of fabric would invalidate the hard shell helmet's certification?
I have no opinion on that.
Coach Smith hopes policymakers will embrace devices like Guardian Caps, noting the strides the sport has made in protective equipment over the last century.
So the game continues to evolve, and now some of the different options that they have, definitely are better than what we had when we came up.
Meanwhile, Guichet thinks blocking the extra padding simply doesn't make sense, and anything that might keep him passing to his friends on the field is worth the effort.
I can't really see any way that it could really hurt the players in any way. So it's great to look out and see everybody wearing them and knowing that they have that extra protection.
Before the start of the 2024 season, The Athletic polled more than 100 NFL players on a variety of topics. NFL senior writer Larry Holder explains why Guardian Caps got a starting spot in the discussion.
The one thing that I took away from the survey is they're not denying the safety element. They know it's safer.
He believes the guidelines for Louisiana high schools go against what the NFL is trying to tout, that players can wear the caps in games to feel as safe as possible.
These are grown men who can make their own decisions and are making millions and millions of dollars. We're talking about teenagers who, if you want to protect them, why wouldn't you allow them to be protected?
We reached out to Rydell, the company that makes the helmets for the Willow School, twice for comment, but did not hear back. In September of 2024, a parent of a Willow football player reached out to Rydell requesting a letter of compliance to allow the team to wear the caps over the helmets. Rydell responded saying, quote, "As of now, the helmet has only been approved the direct way we make them. We as a company can only okay the way it comes out of here."